And all those you've recognized tonight. I'd like now, Mr. Speaker, to turn to the agenda that we announced several weeks ago that involves really a comprehensive set of pieces of legislation to really support American manufacturing. Our country has a proud tradition of making things. We built the world's strongest middle class because, in large part, so much of what the world needed we made here in America. And for millions of Americans, our tradition of making things here has been a source of opportunity and great pride. And today, with millions of Americans still out of work, and with an economy which is still struggling, it's time to draw from that tradition to build a positive, job-creating agenda. The American dream used to mean something, that if you put in a hard day's work, you could expect good American wages, benefits, and a better life for your family. It meant that when products said "Made in America," people knew that they were getting the highest quality manufactured goods money could buy. It's time working Americans used our strength in numbers to reclaim the American dream. Working people deserve a voice at the table, and if we lose that voice, we'll lose what our grandparents fought so hard to leave us. And we should start with manufacturing. The number of Americans involved in producing goods is still near its lowest point since World War II. But manufacturing is central to our economy. The National Association of Manufacturers tells us that manufacturing stimulates more economic activity than any other sector. It's time we started expanding opportunity and stopped shrinking the middle class. And so this effort to really understand that we have to start making things again, that manufacturing matters. And I want to yield in a moment to my friend, Mr. Garamendi, certainly our leader in this Make It in America agenda, and someone who has spoken so passionately and so forcefully about our ability again to lead the world in making goods so that we can start shipping goods that are made in this country all over the world. Instead of exporting jobs, let's export American-made goods. I tell my constituents, and I hear from them all the time, go into a store and try to find something made in America. It's almost impossible. And it doesn't have to be that way. We still have the best workers in the world. We still make the best products in the world. And what we need are good public policies that support American manufacturing, that support job growth in American manufacturing, that give fair trade and tax policies that give American manufacturers a fighting chance to compete in the global economy, and efforts to be sure that our trading partners, like the Chinese, stop cheating and play by the rules and are held accountable when they do. And so we've put together an ambitious agenda to really make things again in this country, because when we make things in America, families can make it in America. And we have a series of bills which we're going to talk about tonight, but I want to yield to the gentleman from California who has been such a passionate voice on the importance of rebuilding and strengthening manufacturing in this country. And if you think about, think of those days when you'd go into a store and you'd pick up an item and it'd say "Made in the USA," and the kind of pride we felt because we knew that was a product that was made well, built well, that would stand the test of time, and we could sell it all over the world. We can do that again. We are doing it. We have some great manufacturing in this country, a real growth, particularly in new manufacturing, high-tech manufacturing, which requires innovation and entrepreneurship and the kind of investments in technology that will help us lead the world in this new knowledge-based economy. And so this effort is to really understand this is part of our history, it's part of the present day, and it's part of our future as a great economic power. And with that, I yield.
Mr. Cicilline, it does not surprise me at all that you have a passion for this issue. You come from a part of the United States that really started the Industrial Revolution, the Northeast. In your state in particular, the Industrial Revolution started there. And over the years, it gave great strength to this nation, and it was the manufacturing that provided the economic underpinnings for the growth of the American economy. Unfortunately, your part of the state, perhaps for a variety of reasons, some of them having to do with national policies, began to lose its industrial base. But with your representation and your passion for this issue, I have absolutely no doubt that once again the Northeast will find the resiliency and the right national policies to rebuild the manufacturing base there and across the rest of the nation. We're already beginning to see it as a result of the stimulus program and some of the specific laws that were built into that program are now rebuilding the manufacturing base in the Midwest. Specifically, a requirement that for the high-speed rail systems and the rebuilding of the American inner-city rail programs, those goods, trains, rails, electronic systems, control systems, have to be built in America. And guess what? International companies are establishing, reestablishing, and building manufacturing facilities in America to take advantage of that money that was in the stimulus bill. Simple little things, not an increase, but rather using our federal money wisely. We can do it. We must do it. We will make it in America once again, and it'll be the great American manufacturing sector. And when we do this, America will make it. A lot of discussion here on the floor today about deficits. What are we going to do about the deficits? Are we going to raise the debt limit? Of course we're going to raise the debt limit. We have to. America stands behind its debts. We will pay. It'll engender a debate. Fine. Let's make this part of the debate. Let's make this part of the debate. In dealing with America's deficit, are we willing to put in place the policies that will rebuild the American manufacturing sector? And I know it is the Democratic agenda to do just that. That we will rebuild the American manufacturing sector, and in doing so, we'll rebuild the American economy and provide one of the critical bricks in solving the deficit problem. Without a growing economy, without a strong middle class, the deficit will never be solved. So we're out to do it. How can we do it? Well, how about our legislative agenda? Why don't you start us off on a couple of the bills and see where it takes us?
I thank the gentleman. I think one of the important investments that we need to make in supporting manufacturing that you just referenced is infrastructure. And one of the parts of the Make It in America agenda is the creation of a national infrastructure bank, which will create a public-private partnership to finance the construction of roads and bridges and transit and the ability to move information and goods and services in the 21st century. If we're going to successfully compete in the manufacturing sector, we need to have an infrastructure, ability to move goods and services and information to be competitive and succeed in the 21st century economy. When you look at what other nations who are investing in manufacturing are investing in their infrastructure to support manufacturing, in roads, in bridges, in transit, in information technology, and the ability to move goods and services competitively, they are racing by us, literally and figuratively. And what we need is an infrastructure that will support this growth in manufacturing, an infrastructure that will really allow American manufacturers to compete successfully in the 21st century.
If you will yield, the infrastructure bank's a great idea, and it's one in which it allows us to build immediately, and over time, as those projects pay off, they repay the loans. It is a very, very wise investment to create an infrastructure bank. Other countries have it, and in the United States there are certain localities and states that also have it. Another piece of legislation dealing with infrastructure actually is a bill that I put together that says, well, we spend a lot of money. It's part of the excise tax money that goes out to build highways, to pay for buses, trains, light rails, and the like. And my bill is pretty simple. It's our tax money. Use that tax money to buy American-made equipment. Why would we send our tax money off to China to buy a Chinese bus? Hey, we make great buses. We make a great bus in the Bay Area. The Gillig Corporation makes a bus that is a superb bus, and we need to spend our taxpayer money buying American-made buses, trains, light rails, and the like. We're going to spend billions. Is the money going to be spent in America, or is the money going to be spent overseas? My legislation says buy American-made equipment. Pretty simple. After all, it's our tax money. One of several bills, the infrastructure bank and this particular bill, building the American infrastructure. I yield back, and I notice one of our colleagues here from the state of Hawaii.
Yes, and I know I'm certain is going to join the conversation. I think the point you made, Mr. Garamendi, is a really